Canadian Tire is permanently severing ties with Hockey Canada in one of the most significant corporate responses to the scandal. A growing list of corporate sponsors are pulling their support for men's hockey programs for the 2022-23 season amid criticism of the handling of alleged sexual assaults. We're joined now by Tony Chapman, the host of the podcast Chatter That Matters. Thanks so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thanks for having me on.
So I'm curious about the flood of sponsors now that appear to be cutting ties more permanently with Hockey Canada. Talk about the significance of losing these major sponsorship dollars.
I mean, to put this in context, Hockey Canada was Canada's Disney. It was dream it, do it, bring home a world championship, Crosby scoring the winning goal. So sponsors lined up to be part of it. They auditioned to be part of it because of all the attention that surrounded Hockey Canada. They wanted to slide in out of that halo. And that's what brands do when they buy properties. They want to take advantage of the fact that that property is magnetic. Well, the opposite. This is opposing magnets. You know, when this happens and an organization loses its moral compass with these alleged allegations, and they spin and refuse to deal with it and just pull off Band-Aids, and every time there's a deeper festering wound, there's no question that sponsors are going to just run for the door. And when you lose that sponsorship, that's vital. It's not just the dollars going into Hockey Canada, it's the dollars that go to activating around Hockey Canada properties, World Juniors, the suite, the suites that the executives buy, the banners on the boards, all the energy in the stores, everything that collects around Hockey Canada all disappears and it becomes a ghost town. And that's what they're dealing with. And they've got one play to make. I've been saying it since day one. The C-suite and the board has to resign. They have to bring in people with unimpeachable credentials, Cassie Campbell, Paul Coffey, Marilyn Moose, someone that's going to look Canada in the eye and say, listen, we're still committed to bringing home the gold, but we're going to do it with a moral compass that's pointed north versus spinning out of control.
Do you feel like this snowball effect of sponsors now in just the past 24 hours, is this reaction to the testimony from Hockey Canada this week before a parliamentary committee, or is this more of a long-term move that for months now when some of these sponsors put Hockey Canada on notice, now they're saying, we've given you time and you're still not doing what we want to see and making the change that we want to see?
Well, there's no question. They're demanding wholesale change. They're not getting it. And you're still getting people going in front of Parliament saying, well, sexual assault happens everywhere. Crisis Management 101 is you look the camera in the eye, you talk about what went wrong, you become as transparent as you possibly can. You say, I'm opening up the kimono to everybody to look at. And by the way, we're resigning because that happened in our watch. And we will do everything we can to help the new board come in and right the ship and get us back on the ice. And they've refused to do that. And for the Prime Minister to come in and say, it could be Canada Hockey, to get to that level where the leader of your country's weighing in on what should have happened weeks, if not, literally when these allegations and the hidden funds and all the things that were going on, this is completely off strategy. Any branding expert would step in and say, you need to leave now and focus on what matters most, which is that little kid at 4 putting on a hockey helmet and shining and imagining they're an Austin Matthews as they step on the ice and laddering that right up to bringing home gold. That is your mandate. Your mandate is not slush funds and hidden funds and everything else that created such a toxicity with this brand.
You mentioning, you're suggesting, and you've said for many, quite a long time now, that wholesale change is needed. For these sponsors specifically, is there any way to save the current state of Hockey Canada? Can they do anything to hold on? Do they think buying time could heal all wounds? Or do these sponsors, are they saying basically with pulling out, you need to do a wholesale change now? Is there any way that Hockey Canada in its current form can survive this?
Not with the people in power. Hockey Canada can survive, but again, with characters that people go, is the Jean Beliveau of the new generation. On my mind, Cassie Campbell, Paul Coffey, Mary Lemieux, someone that would come in and chair the board and say, I understand what hockey means to the people that play, I understand what hockey means to Canadians, and that's what we stand for. And we have a whole new code of conduct. And by the way, Deloitte or Ernst & Young come in here and do a complete sweep because we don't want to find any more skeletons in the closet. If they did that, they might be in a position where they could go back and the sponsors, but I would imagine the sponsors say, fantastic, We're going to wait and see. But if you do live up to what you're talking about, you can expect us to come back in. But they're on the sidelines until they see some dramatic turnaround.
All right, Tony Chapman, host of the podcast Chatter That Matters. Thanks so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.